Oh, no sound? Y'all couldn't hear me this whole time? Oh my goodness. Do I need to restart this whole thing over? Can you hear me now? I guess you can hear me now, right? Oh, we're gonna have to edit all of that out. Am I gonna take it from the top? Let's take it from the top and edit it all out. Can I edit it out? That's crazy. All right, well, greetings, brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, parents. Welcome to part 2 for this YouTube series, The Parenting You Inherited. Tonight's episode is about the baby boomers who grew up in a time of social pressure to look good. Looking good mattered more than being honest. That's the main thread of tonight. If you are new here, my name is Devin Trent, and I help parents have peace of mind by having a plan for their parenting journey, so that kids grow up feeling confident, understood, and ready for life on their own. Now, before we get into baby boomers, let me ask you some uncomfortable questions. The first question is this: what do you think happens when parenting without a plan? What happens when you try to do anything without a plan? If you're trying to go on a vacation, on a road trip to your vacation destination, and you don't have a plan, no tools, no GPS, no map, not even a good sense of direction, what do you expect? What do you think is going to happen if you try to go on a road trip with no plan and no tools? Parenting is the same way. If parents don't have a plan for their parenting journey, then they are left to do what? Figure it out as they go, through trial and error. If a trial is a test and an error is a negative result of the test, who pays the price for the error? Is it the child? Is it the parents? Is it both? Who pays the bigger price for trial and error parenting? We're going to get into that later as we go on throughout this presentation. What patterns did you inherit from your parents? What patterns do you plan to pass down to your children? Tonight is not about shame or blame. I know parents are doing the best that they can with what they have. You know, people working a job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, trying to pay the bills. Inflation is up. The cost of living is up. House prices is up. You know, and I'm sure parents don't have the time. You know, after talking to so many parents, I realized that most parents don't take the time to reflect and make a plan. And I understand, because you're doing the best you can with what you have. But tonight is the time to take the time and make a plan. Whoa, you're not hearing nothing at all? Hold on. Hold on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, I hear it on my side. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I hear it on my side. Wow. I think I might do this video over. No, nothing hearing. No, yes, now you can hear me. Okay. Man, so yes, tonight is the night this is the time to take the time to slow down and ask the thoughtful questions, to do some critical thinking, so you can have a plan before you go on that road trip, so you can have a plan on your parenting journey. So yes, these are the first set of questions. Now that we got the uncomfortable questions out the way, let's start the transition and get into tonight's episode about the baby boomers. This slide sums up the whole conflict with the baby boomer generation and the patterns that we inherited, the patterns that parents have inherited from baby boomers. Social pressures exceeded emotional capacity. At a time when post-World War II, and there was a big economic boom. Women started getting the right to vote. There was an uprising in divorce. There was a lot of social pressures to keep up with the Joneses, to look good on the outside, but behind closed doors, the household was in turmoil. And when I talk about social pressures, look at this picture. Notice how they got their furniture wrapped in plastic. Notice how the family is standing there kind of robotic, prim and proper. They want to, look perfect. I remember my grandparents, they had their furniture wrapped in plastic. Did your parents or grandparents have their furniture wrapped in plastic? Did they have dishes that you couldn't use, that the family members couldn't use? The dishes was reserved for special company, special guests. This is what I'm talking about when I say social pressure. You can't use the furniture, but your guests can use it. You can't use your dishes, but your guests can use it. This is what the environment was of the baby boomer era, and they had to adapt to the environment. And some of those adaptations have been passed down to us in 2025, but this is a whole different world. So yes, remember the baby boomers was raised by a silent generation. The silent generation went through a time of Great Depression, poverty, famine, war. They were just trying to survive. They wasn't talking about emotional intelligence. So they couldn't pass down the emotional capacity to the baby boomers. And so baby boomers, they didn't have the emotional capacity to keep up with the changing times changing so fast. And so we're going to get into that as we go throughout this presentation. We're going to come back to this statement: social pressures exceeded emotional capacity. So yeah, let's continue to yes. So did your home look good on the outside but feel tense behind closed doors? Do you think, yes, I think you should. You think I should do it over? Did your home look good on the outside? Do you think your parents were being dishonest, or were they just under pressure to look like everything was fine? So let's get into it. Miss Martha. We're going to use Miss Martha as a avatar for somebody in the baby boomer generation. This is based on true events. This was a generation raised to believe that stability was proof of love. Now, as we get into Miss Martha's story, I'm going to go off screen. I'm going to just narrate her story. Boom, there we go. Okay, let's get into some narration. Oh man. Dang, I needed to. Dang, guys, this is a mess. All right, meet Miss Martha. Miss Martha grows up during a time of massive change. The country is expanding, jobs are growing, neighborhoods are forming. On the surface, things look stable, but underneath that growth is pressure. For Miss Martha's generation, safety isn't just about food or shelter anymore. Safety is about belonging. Looking like you're doing well becomes proof that you're doing well. If you look stable, people trust you. And if people trust you, then opportunities stay open. The public image is not vanity for Ms. Martha, it's survival. As Ms. Martha gets older, the pressure increases. Now let me, boom. Let's get into her older years. As Ms. Martha gets older, the pressure increases. The civil rights movement is happening. Women are entering the workforce. Divorce rates are rising. Everything is changing fast. And when change happens faster than emotional skills develop, people grab onto what feels controllable. For Ms. Martha, what's controllable is how things look. Looking put together means you're not falling behind. Keeping up with the Joneses is not about showing off. It's about signaling. It's about putting on a signal that we're okay, we're safe, and we're not a risk to the tribe. Falling behind, it don't just feel embarrassing, it feels dangerous. They had to keep those opportunities open. They had to keep those doors open. So the tribe don't shun them because they're not keeping up with the Joneses. Okay? Now, Miss Martha, inside the home, things aren't always calm. Emotions are confusing. Expectations are high. Support systems are thinner than they ever used to be. Miss Martha doesn't have a language for emotional processing. She has language for performance. So when things feel unstable inside, she doubles down on the outside. Appearance matters. Reputation matters. Respectability matters. Because if the outside looks solid, then maybe the inside is silent. It's not denial, it's protection. In her later years, Miss Martha becomes a parent, and without realizing it, she passes this adaptation down to her kids. She values looking responsible. She values appearing disciplined. She values not airing problems publicly. Not because she don't care, but because in her world, looking bad once meant losing safety. So she teaches her kids to behave, to comply, to not draw attention. And this is what happens when your public image once protected survival. That pattern doesn't disappear, it echoes. Right? Now this is the emotional impact on Generation X. My parents' generation. Their drive for achievement taught Generation X self-reliance, but also left many feeling emotionally overlooked. Not ignored, but overlooked. Boomers modeled success, but the emotional distance created a generation determined to parent with more openness and balance. Generation X didn't reject their parents. They rejected the emotional cost of always looking good. Always looking good. Keeping up with the Joneses. All right, now this is when, what slide is this? Slide 10? Now this is when it started to turn into our generation. What does it got to do with us? What this looks like today. Can you relate to any of these? When conflict arises, you focus on keeping the peace instead of telling the truth. When things feel tense, you fall back instead of saying what's wrong. When your child struggles, you push independence instead of guidance. When things look fine on the outside, you assume things are fine on the inside. And none of this makes you a bad parent. It makes you a parent shaped by a time when looking good mattered more than honesty. Can you relate to any of this? Can anybody relate to not having the emotional capacity to looking good on the outside, but behind closed doors, everything is not fine? And the kids are seeing the hypocrisy. Seeing, did you see your parents put on a mask out in public, but you know behind closed doors, everything and all that? Did you see your parents going into debt, buying appliances, buying furniture, buying, Carnival cruise, just trying to keep up with appearances? Do you notice yourself trying to keep up with appearances? Let me check on the stream. Let me see what we got here. Okay. All right, let's keep it moving. So, okay. Now this is my rendition of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm picking up where Maslow left off. Maslow talked about the individual, but I see a fractal pattern that is not only directed to the individual, but society as a whole. Now, on the first episode, we talked about the silent generation, how they was trying to get their physical needs met for food, water, and shelter, and how this relates in real time to the children when you don't have food, water, and shelter. When you don't have your needs met, you're not on your best behavior. The silent generation wasn't on their best behavior because they didn't have all their needs met. The same thing with your kids. If they are tired and hungry, they're not going to be on their best behavior. So now let's get into the baby boomers. Now that after the war, the safety needs are met. They're not worried about war no more. They feel safe. So now it's about social needs. It's about social needs. And this is where the baby boomers got stuck. And so you can only pick up where your parents got stuck. If your parents didn't have their social needs met, you're not going to have your social needs met. So now how does this relate to your children? Okay. First, are your children, do they feel tired or hungry? If they're good on the food, water, and shelter, then the next level up is, do they feel safe? If they're not tired and hungry, then they can be on good behavior. If they feel safe, then they can be on good behavior. If they feel like a member of the family, then they can be on good behavior. But if they don't feel like a part of the family, if they feel like a black sheep, if they feel like they've been shunned, if they feel like an outcast, then they're not having their social needs met, and they're not going to be on their best behavior. The same thing with the baby boomer generation. If they're not having their social needs met, if they don't look good to the public, then the public would shun them and hold back opportunities, hold back, access to the group, because the group want to keep the group strong. They don't want to let weak people in, or people who look weak, or people who look like they can't keep up. So looking good on the outside becomes a survival tactic. It becomes an adaptation to the environment. Is this making sense? Now, Generation X, which we're going to talk about on the next episode, Lord willing. Generation X, they watch their parents get stuck with this social hypocrisy, and they want to do the opposite. They want to be independent, and they want to be true. They don't want to wear a mask and try to keep up with the Joneses. Generation X, they don't want to fake it till they make it. They want to be authentic. I have not do what my parents do with my kids. Excellent. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about on the next episode with Generation X. Remember what I said earlier, that it's not about shame or blame. Parents don't slow down long enough because they're fighting for survival. They're fighting to get their needs met. Each generation is fighting for survival, and the next generation picks up where their parents left off. All right, so in the next episode, we're going to get into Generation X, the generation raised to be independent, not emotional. Remember, silent generation wasn't emotional, baby boomers wasn't emotional, so they couldn't teach Generation X how to be emotional. If this opened if this opened your eyes and you want clarity tailored to your child and your specific situation, then I want to encourage you to join me for my live workshop on January 10th. You can save your seat at register.devintrent.com. And yes, January 10th, that's a Saturday. Mark your calendar. Go to register. It's the first link down in the description too. It's in the description, and it's the first pinned comment down below. So yes, that's what I got for tonight. Remember, you didn't start the cycle, but you can end it. Awareness is the beginning of change. You can't fix a problem that you're not aware of. This whole series is about bringing awareness to the problems. So yes, any questions or concerns? When parents stop guessing, kids stop paying the price. Oh yeah, we talked about who pays the price for trial and error parenting. The kids pay the price for trial and error parenting because their parents are just winging it, just figuring it out as they go. So when parents have a plan, then the children won't have to suffer from trial and error parenting. That's the point of this series, to help parents have a plan. So that's all I got for tonight. Again, you can register for your seat at register.devintrent.com. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to redo. I don't know how to. Maybe I might have to take the video down and just. I don't know. We're going to figure out how to do this live stream. Every time I do it, get a little bit better. Dang, can you even hear? Can you hear it on this side? All right, that's it for tonight, folks. Peace be, Lord willing, I'll see you soon. Good night. Well, I guess you could hear something. Now let's stop the stream.